A viewer lately commented on, like, how people go from an apartment or a house, that debt slave type of life. You know, they've been told by society, their parents, everybody that they grew up with, everybody that they know, that you go to, out of high school, you graduate high school first of all, and then you go to a 4-year college degree someplace. Best benefit of the world would be to go to be a doctor or a lawyer or whatever. Do those 4 or 6 years that you'd have to do med school or law school or whatever, and be that much amount of money in debt, so that you can go work at that high prestigious job that pays pretty good, and you can turn around and get $100,000 truck as a toy to play around with, and then have like a, you know, another Toyota Prius or whatever as a commuter car back and forth to work. You know, the type that has the toys. Like this weekend I went through Colorado and I saw various people, because it's a weekend, they had, you know, their truck hooked up to a trailer with some side-by-sides or the four-wheelers or the snowboards or skis or whatever, and they have all of these toys. But at the end of the day, they're working that 40-hour week. Some of them are working 60 hours a week to pay a lot of debt off, and then they are in debt for toys like that. Don't get me wrong, it's a nice toy that would pull all sorts of stuff, blah blah blah, but they go into debt for that, so that on the weekend they can take and use it. Say they don't even use this as their commuter, because I mean, who would want to use that as a commuting truck back and forth, you know, for the fuel wise, on a, you know, I'm talking like a weekly job that you go back and forth the same job. Who would want to spend that kind of fuel when you can get yourself, like, especially these days, like a Tesla or a Toyota Prius or something that conserves way better amounts of less fuel than a truck would, but they still have them on the weekends to go pull their expensive toys, like that trailer that I saw that had the side-by-sides on it, or the, you know what I'm talking about, it's like a Ranger or side-by-side, or a like a four-wheeler, kind of souped up four-wheeler toys like that. Or they got a Jeep on the back of their truck because they can't drive their Jeep, which is highway worthy, down the road, because it probably has souped up with all sorts of off-road tires and off-road lighting and all that stuff on it, on the Jeep, so it's illegal to drive it on the road now. They've souped it up, so they have a pickup like this to pull a trailer to pull it with, to have all those toys, and they're in debt on every single one of them. I can almost guarantee you, because there are two kinds of people in this world that are at the leading 1% of the world or whatever. There's the 1%ers that have daddy's money. There's or they won the lottery, or, you know, some kind of inheritance or another, or they were able to actually do the right thing and save from when they're a kid and make that their own actual money work for them, like Dave Ramsey says, you know, and you save it, and blah blah blah, and then by the time you're in your 20s or whatever, your money's making your own money for you. There's that type of smart people who control their money and don't let the money control them. And then there's what I call debt slaves. We get into this diddly cycle of being a debt slave because you go to this job that you've worked all those years through school to qualify to get that job, and then you're, you know, stuck working it because you put yourself through school to do that job, so you feel compelled to stay on the path, so to speak, and work the job that you worked so long for school to get. And somewhere down the line, once you've been a couple, 2 or 3 years, 6 years in your job, you get tired of it. You get those stages of new person to, you know, being good at what you're doing, to being like an expert, like a brain surgeon at what you're doing. And the job gets boring and you don't like it anymore, but you're stuck with that job because you're on that path that you've been on since you were in college. People like that turn around and get a toy like this and aren't dead on it, so they can take it out on the weekends and they can make themselves feel better. Deep down inside, they don't like their life, they don't like their job, but they do the job because that's what they've been told to do. That's what they've been groomed to do, that society's told them to do. And so in order to get back at that, they go around and get like a nice play toy like that they can pull trailers with on the weekends and go do the stuff they want to do. That's the fun stuff over the weekend, because the weekend is the only part of their entire life that they actually enjoy. You know, and I don't want to bring people down or nothing, but I'm just saying, these people work from when they're like 18, some of them earlier than that. I worked when I think I started my first official job when I was 16, but anyway, most people work between the ages of 18 and 65, and they go all those years, and the majority of those people, probably 80% of those people, are what they call debt slaves. They have all sorts of nice fancy looking things like this that are $100,000 rigs with the added aftermarket shocks and etc. and blah blah blah. This is just a contractor's vehicle. I'm just saying the paint scheme, you know, kind of a paint scheme truck like that. They have that kind of stuff sitting at home so they can use it as a toy. But they're in debt to everything. They're in debt to that truck. They're in debt to $200,000 in debt to their house. They're $30,000 a year in debt to their kids going to college so that they can go and do the same thing their dad made them do. Well, I wouldn't say made them do, but talk them into going to college to, you know, set them down the slave path. And there's basically two people in this life on the 1%ers, like I'd like to say. There's the true 1%ers that took their time. They either got daddy's money, they got lottery inheritance or some other kind of inheritance, or they did the Dave Ramsey type of thing, and when they're younger and made their own money work for them. There's that 1%er that truly is living off of their own money, working for them. And then there's what we call debt slaves. Then very rarely there's someone that comes along like me that found out one day when I was standing in front of a pop machine a while back, and I forget the exact amount of change. I didn't have enough for the pop. It was like $1.75 or something in the machine, and I had $1.60 or something like that. I forget. But that's the day that money no longer had a hold on me. I laughed at it and decided that I did not have to have that pop no matter what, you know. And the previous me that was, you know, trying to go down the road of the debt slave, doing the apartment thing and going to rent and going to school and everything, would have been like, man, you're nothing if you can't buy a pop. Years later, here I am sitting in the back of the truck, which this isn't the cup of tea for everybody, but transporting has become my life, and I swear it's like a paid, I wouldn't say vacation, but paid retirement every single day. Today I actually have a downtime because I could be dropping this truck off to the auction, but I think I'm gonna take the Amtrak tonight, and there's only a schedule of 3 or 3:30 in the morning to 10 o'clock in the morning from here to Grand Junction to get another truck. And so I've got time to kill anyway, so I'm just decided to keep the truck with me for now because the auction has 24/7 delivery. You can drop off the vehicle anytime you want. Right there was a prime example, I don't know if you heard it on the video or not, of an exhaust system, aftermarket exhaust system that someone put on their car because they slaved their butt away all day, all week long, paying these generic bills, you know, paying their truck payment, paying their house payment, paying their utility bills, paying their insurance, paying all of this and all their money that they're slaving their money away for, their you know, their time and efforts away for, 40 or 60 hours a week or whatever. And they're saving back a little bit every paycheck so that they can finally buy whatever toy they want to buy. And they go off and get a loud exhaust system like what you just heard go by if you heard it on the video. Or they put brand new off-duty, you know, off-road, all-weather, like thick tin-ply tires on their pickup, whatever, you know. And I've done the same thing. I've been guilty of the same exact thing in my Dodge Neon back in the day when I was in college. Doing all that down that debt slave route, I sure enough had I think it was like 4 12-inch subs in that Neon at one time. Stupid stuff that you know, but back in the day I didn't know any better. Now I realized I was not happy with my life, and I was trying to have a physical manifestation of something that would give me some kind of gratitude, some kind of way to say, hey, you didn't work for nothing. You didn't just slave your ass off all week long just to pay bills. You finally got something out of it. Here's this subwoofer, or here's this sound system, here's this straight pipe off their car that you've wanted to play around with, here's the animal music horn thing that I bought at one time, here's the 10-ply off-road, duty tires for your truck. So your truck looks more manly, blah blah blah. You know, I fell into the whole characteristic of all that. But at the end of the day, back in the day, I was too naive to know any better. But I was not happy with my job and my life. I was living for those weekends that I didn't have the job, you know, and everybody lives for the 3-day weekend that comes along on occasion when you have your holiday off, because then you have 3 days instead of 2 days that nobody owns you in your time. Otherwise, you're back to the 2 days a week that you get to yourself, and the maybe 4 hours a night that you might get to yourself before you gotta sleep and do it all over again. And people do that from 18 all the way to 65, and they just go along like a mindless slave. Stop being a mindless slave. Go out there, get yourself the job, because everybody has to have a job, has to have a way to have income coming in. But get yourself the job that you want. Maybe it pays less. Maybe make sacrifices like I technically have right now, you know, being in a vehicle by myself out here in Utah right now, so that on the days when I'm driving, I can do exactly what I want to be doing. You know, I'm a self-employed, independent contractor. I'm my own boss. I can tell these guys when I do and do not want to go to work. And there's nothing better than that. You know, I highly recommend being self-employed and being an independent contractor. That way you can do exactly that. You're your own boss. You don't have to answer to somebody else. The only thing you have to answer to is money, and I can tell money when or when not I need to have it, so to speak. I can decide not to run a trip for a couple days and then go and balls to the wall, so to speak. You know, and deliver 6 to 8 trucks in a row. Just go if I want to. You know, it's up to me. It's not up to somebody else now. They might, you know, my company might have truck after truck after truck that they'd like me to do, but as an independent contractor, I can tell them when I will or will not be available to do it. And there's no better peace in this world. And I'm not just saying this job specifically, I'm saying any kind of job out there that makes you happy. You know, if driving a race car makes you happy, go and do the things you need to do to get behind that wheel and drive that race car. If for some reason, you know, doing accounting makes you happy, go to college and get that accounting degree to be able to work at a prestigious law firm or wherever that you want to work at that does accounting, that you like crunching numbers. You know, different people like doing different things, but go and do a job that you like doing, so that at the end of the day, you're not sacrificing your time and effort in debt to $100,000 or more to something, so that you can play around with it on the weekend, because that's the only time that you enjoy your life is on the weekend. Don't be that guy. Don't enjoy your life on the weekends. Enjoy your life every second of every day. And with that, I leave you with that thought. Like and subscribe, leave comments, and I'll catch you in the flip. Peace.